LEGO Marvel Superheroes has 148 characters, and with all the DLCs included, there are 186. And among those characters, there are some very useless superheroes. But we are going to look at the 25 best characters to find out which one is the best. So let's get started. Starting off the list at number 25, we have Whiplash. Now, Whiplash is actually a pretty fun villain to play, as his main weapon is his electric whips, which he swings around to attack enemies. And the cool thing is that these attacks have a really good range, so you can hit enemies without even getting close to them. He can also electrify machines, which is something not a lot of characters can do. And honestly, electricity powers show up way more often than you'd expect in this game. So Whiplash can actually activate certain machines that a lot of characters can't. Now, is he the strongest character in the game? Absolutely not. But the electric attack, the ranged combat, and the villain style already make him more useful than a lot of other characters. And he just looks pretty tough, which is why Whiplash takes the 25th spot. Now, if you thought Whiplash was dangerous, wait until you see the guy who brings a sword to a superhero fight. At number 24, we have Silver Samurai. Though he might be an unknown character, he is still pretty cool because Silver Samurai is one of those characters that focuses entirely on combat. His main weapon is his energy katana, and he attacks extremely fast. When you start fighting groups of enemies, he can slice through them pretty quickly. And compared to a lot of basic characters, his attacks just feel a lot stronger and faster. He's also very agile, meaning he moves quickly and jumps higher than normal characters. But there is one small problem. Outside of normal combat, he doesn't really do much. No flight, no telekinesis, no super strength, which means he's mostly useful for just fighting enemies. So Silver Samurai lands at number 24. And next up, we have someone who can probably defeat half this list without even getting out of his chair. Coming in at number 23, we have Professor X. Professor X might not look powerful at first because he's pretty old, but his mind control abilities are actually extremely useful. He can literally take control of enemy characters, which lets you use their abilities or make them attack other enemies. It's basically like turning the enemy against itself, and that's honestly pretty fun to watch. And he has this massive blast attack that can kill multiple enemies at once. He also has telekinesis, which allows him to move certain LEGO objects from a distance. Now, of course, there is one downside. Professor X doesn't exactly excel in combat because he just bumps enemies with his chair, but the mind control ability alone makes him one of the more unique characters in the game. So Professor X takes number 23. Now, if Professor X is out here controlling minds, the next character controls something a little more messy. At number 22, we have Sandman. Sandman is one of Spider-Man's classic villains, and in LEGO Marvel Superheroes, he has some really cool ability. Because his body is made out of sand, he can transform parts of himself into weapons. He can create giant sand fists, smash enemies with heavy attacks, and even fire sand projectiles. But that's not even the coolest part. Sandman can actually travel through sand piles, where he basically turns into a moving pile of sand and slides across the ground. And honestly, it looks hilarious and pretty clean at the same time. He can also transform into things like a sand castle and even a sand cannon that could be very useful during certain moments. And when he fights Spider-Man, there is this Easter egg of the movie where Spider-Man gets stuck inside of Sandman. And to make it even worse, Sandman shoots Spider-Man away with his cannon variant. Overall, Sandman is just a really fun character to play as, which puts him at number 22. Can we get an L Messi down below in the comments? Alright, next we have a character who proves something very important. Sometimes being small is actually an advantage. At number 21, we have AntMan. AntMan's main ability is of course his size-changing powers. He can shrink down to an extremely small size and access tiny passages and hidden areas that normal characters simply can't reach. And these sections are actually pretty common throughout the game, so having a character like AntMan is surprisingly useful. He also has pretty decent combat abilities, but let's be honest, you're not picking AntMan to punch people. You're picking him because he can go places other characters can't, which gives him the 21st spot. At number 20, we have Captain America. Captain America is one of the most balanced characters in the game. His vibranium shield gives him a lot of versatility. He can throw it to attack enemies from a distance, and the shield will bounce between multiple enemies, which honestly, it never stops being satisfying. He can also reflect laser beams, which is used in quite a few situations. And of course, course, he has great agility and combat skills, which makes him very reliable during fights. And when you play the storyline, you will need him many times to do the shield switch thing. He may not have crazy powers like flight or magic, but he's extremely consistent and one of the most known Marvel characters, which puts Captain America at number 20. Now, from a super soldier to someone who literally has giant metal wings, at number 19, we have Archangel, and the biggest advantage he has is simple: he can fly. Flight automatically makes characters way more useful in the free roam because traveling around Manhattan becomes so much faster, and his shiny wings make him look a lot cooler than standard flying around. Archangel can also fire feather projectiles from the air, which makes fighting enemies very easy, and enemies basically can't touch you, which is honestly a very effective strategy. Because of his flight and ranged combat abilities and unique look, Archangel earns number 19. At 18, we have the Hulk, and honestly, Hulk is exactly what you'd expect. He is extremely strong. Hulk can smash through large objects, pick up heavy items, and destroy enemies with massive punches. His attacks also have a huge area damage, meaning he can clear groups of enemies really quickly. And of course, the classic Hulk move where he picks up enemies and slams them into the ground, which is always fun. However, Hulk does have one weakness. He's not exactly the most versatile character. He can't fly, he can't shoot lasers, and he can't use telekinesis. But when it comes to pure strength, Hulk is one of the best, so he lands at number 18. At number 17, we have Mr. Fantastic. Reed Richards has some really creative abilities in this game. Because of his stretching powers, he can transform his body into different shapes. For example, he can turn into a giant teapot and jump around the city, which is pretty funny. He can also stretch to activate switches that other characters can't reach. And he has elastic combat attacks, which give him surprisingly good range and a unique way of fighting. He's not the strongest fighter, but his abilities are extremely unique, and he is just a classic character overall. So Mr. Fantastic earns number 17. At number 16, we have Iron Fist. Iron Fist focuses heavily on martial arts combat. His attacks are fast, powerful, and very satisfying to use. When Iron Fist powers up his fist, he can smash through special objects that normal characters can't break. And his suit is very clean with the green and yellow combination. So if you're looking for a character that is purely combat focused, Iron Fist is a great choice, which gives him number 16. And now things are about to get a little more, let's just say, magical. At number 15, we have Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange has a lot of magical abilities. He can fly, which already makes him extremely useful for exploring the city. And his flying ability is kinda cooler than all the others because he has unique particles. He also uses magic projectiles to attack enemies from a distance. But the most interesting ability he has is his astral projection. This allows him to separate his spirit from his body and move around freely in his astral form for a short amount of time, which is one of the more unique mechanics in the game. And with his laser, he can hold back big figure characters. Because of his magic powers and flight, Doctor Strange lands at number 15. At number 14, we have Thor. Thor has some of the most powerful abilities in the game. He can fly, throw his hammer Mjolnir, and summon lightning attacks. His lightning attacks can destroy large groups of enemies and power certain machines. And because he can fly, he's also extremely useful in free roam. Thor is basically a perfect mix of strength, flight, and ranged attacks. And he is a classic character, which easily gives him number 14. At number 13, we have Superior Spider-Man. This version of Spider-Man has the classic Spider-Man ability. He can swing across the city, climb walls, and use spider senses to detect hidden objects. But he also has access to mechanical spider arms, which makes him just a little bit better than the normal Spider-Man. Although we never know how Spider-Man is swinging without connecting to a building, he still deserves this place, which is why Superior Spider-Man lands at number 13. At number 12, we have Howard the Duck. Yes, a duck. Although he's a pretty useless duck, he can make some pretty cool noises when he jumps. And honestly, the idea of a duck in a suit running around Manhattan shooting lasers is just absolutely hilarious, which is why Howard the Duck lands at number 12. At number 11, we have Ultimate Electro. Electro is one of the best electric characters in the game. He can fire powerful electric attacks and also charge machines, but his attacks are also extremely strong in combat. You can clear enemies very quickly using his electric blast, but the best thing about Electro Ultimate is his glider thingy. I don't know exactly what it's called, which makes him both useful and powerful. This one might be controversial, but he's pretty cool. Before we go to the top 10, make sure to subscribe for more LEGO Marvel content. At number 10, we have Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider has some really cool abilities. He can throw chains of fire at enemies and perform strong melee attacks. But his coolest feature is his flaming motorcycle, which you can use to drive around the city. And honestly, driving a flaming motorcycle through Manhattan never gets old, which gives Ghost Rider number 10. At number 9, we have Human Torch. Human Torch can fly, shoot fire blasts, and even create explosions of flames. His attacks are very powerful and cover large areas. And because he can stay in the air while attacking, enemies on the ground struggle to hit him, which makes him extremely effective. Human Torch takes number 9. At number 8, we have Green Goblin. He flies on his glider, throws pumpkin bombs, and has strong melee attacks. Pumpkin bombs are especially useful because they deal large explosive damage and can kill a big figure with just one bomb. So he's great for clearing groups of enemies very quickly, which puts Green Goblin at number 8. At number 7, we have Venom. Venom has super strength, powerful melee attacks, and can also swing through the city like Spider-Man. He can climb walls and smash through heavy objects, so he combines the abilities of Spider-Man and Hulk, which makes him the perfect candidate to roam around the city. Venom is one of my personal favorites to use. At number 6, we have Iceman. Iceman can fly on ice slides, which is just one of the coolest movement abilities in the game, no pun intended. He can also shoot ice blasts that freeze enemies, and he can create ice bridges to cross water. Because of all of these abilities, Iceman is extremely useful in many situations, which gives him number 6. At number 5, we have Taskmaster. Taskmaster is one of the most versatile fighters in the game, and his suit is tough. He uses a sword, a shield, and a bow, which means he has both melee and ranged attacks. He can also reflect attacks and fight extremely efficiently. Because of his combat and versatility and clean movement, Taskmaster earns number 5 without a doubt. At number 4, we have Iron Man. Iron Man is easily one of the most useful characters in the entire game. Not only does he have a half-naked Tony Stark version, but he can fly, fire repulsor blasts, and use missiles to destroy objects. He can also hack computer terminals, which is a very important ability. Iron Man basically has everything, and let's be real, when you think of Marvel, you think of Iron Man, which makes him one of the best characters overall. So he lands at number 4. Before we get into the top 3, if you're still not subscribed yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button. At number 3, we have Deadpool. And to unlock Deadpool, you first have to collect the 11 red bricks. Deadpool is incredibly fun to play as. He uses dual katanas and guns, which gives him powerful melee and ranged combat. He's also very fast and agile. But the best part is simply that he's Deadpool. The animations and fighting style make him one of the most entertaining characters in the entire game. And when he dies, he of course turns into a skeleton Deadpool because he can't die, which earns him number 3. At number 2, we have Silver Surfer. Silver Surfer is insanely powerful. He can fly extremely fast, shoot powerful cosmic energy blasts, and destroy enemies with ease. His flying animation is very unique because nobody else uses a surfboard. It doesn't really make any sense, but it looks very clean. He's also incredibly mobile, making him perfect for exploring the city. Silver Surfer is easily one of the strongest characters in the game, but there is still one character that takes the top spot. Coming in at number 1, we have Stan Lee. Once you unlock Stan Lee in free roam, he becomes one of the most powerful characters in the entire game, because he basically has multiple superhero abilities all combined. Stan Lee can use Spider-Man web slinging, Hulk strength, and even laser vision similar to Cyclops. which makes him ridiculously versatile. He's basically a superhero combination character. And honestly, who deserves the #1 spot more than the creator of Marvel himself? So Stan Lee takes #1. Let me know which characters you think deserves the #1 spot. And if you want to see more LEGO Marvel videos just like this one, make sure to subscribe.